Hey there. Have you ever asked yourself, am I a late bloomer? Have I just not bloomed yet? Did I already bloom and I missed it? Well, today I want to dig into that topic. But first, hey, I'm Amy, and this is Aging Audaciously. I almost said awkwardly, and so maybe it is aging audaciously and awkwardly. We're undefining and then redefining what life as we're aging looks like for us. As we move to and through retirement, we get to decide how we want to live. We get to decide, not society. So I hope you'll stick with me today as we dig into late bloomers. All right, so I think everybody, when people think about late bloomers, we often think about creatives, either artists, authors, maybe actors, sometimes in sports, but that's typically what we think of. So people who have done these great big things that are in the eye of the larger community, right? So everyone talks about Grandma Moses. I think Grandma Moses was, let me just check my notes, 75 when she first painted. I think it was for a contest, I think. But anyways, so Grandma Moses, 75. Norman MacLean wrote A River Runs Through It at 74. Morgan Freeman got maybe his first well-known role at the age of 52, which at this point, I don't think that's very old. But for young people starting out in acting, I think if they had to think about not making it until they were 52, how many would actually keep with it, right? And there's many. Toni Morrison didn't publish until she was 40. Again, that seems young to me, but to somebody just starting out, that probably seems old. But here's the question I have. This is when these people first became prominent to a larger section of the population. So whether they became well known on the screen, or they sold a painting, or they became published, they became well known to people outside of their core group. And then they were deemed late bloomers because they were also deemed as older than what people usually start, people usually start getting well known for these things. And my question is, why do we measure our success or other people's success by how well known they are to a larger population? And another question I have is, what if we're not a bloomers, boomers? Do you see what I did there? I didn't even mean to do that. Instead of just being late bloomers, what if we're perennials and we're continually blooming? We're continually having seasons. And also with perennials, sometimes you have a really good, robust season with lots of blooms, right? Lots of blossoms. And it's a beautiful plant. And then other seasons, it's almost like a resting season and not that much blossoms. I have a lilac bush out back where some years are just not that great. And then my husband threatens to cut it down. And I think sometimes it listens and it goes, I better get going. And then it blossoms like crazy the next year. Now, let's not resort to violence when it comes to wanting to bloom or not. But I think if we look at our life, first of all, as perennials, and all the different times we have blossomed, we have done wonderful things, we have meant something to someone, and that we can continue to grow and blossom and be what we want to be. I also think, I'm going to ask this again, why is it left up to the greater population whether we have bloomed or not? Why isn't it left up to us? Like, hey, I really feel good about myself. I did this thing and I'm so happy about it. And this thing could be, I learned how to can tomatoes. And now, when my garden has 80 gajillion billion tomatoes that I don't know what to do with, I can now can them. And now we have tomatoes for a whole season. And my friends have tomatoes as well. Maybe it's, I finally sat down and wrote a poem that I've been thinking about. I'm not going to publish it. I might not even share it, but I did it. Maybe it's, I wrote a letter to a dear friend about something that was hard to talk about. You did it. You did something. You accomplished something. Again, I kind of hate to use the word accomplish. Sometimes I feel like that's, like we feel bad about ourselves if we haven't accomplished something. But again, let's undefine the word accomplish, redefine it as something that is only measured by us. If we measure our quote unquote successes by our own standards and not the population as a whole, or even our family group or friend group, just our own self, I think that we would see we have blossomed and blossomed and blossomed, and we will continue to blossom. I just really, and I'm not sure, I think about late bloomers a lot. I don't know why I do, but I do. Because I think in the past I thought maybe I was just a late bloomer. Like at some point in the future, I would be that published author, that Broadway star. I don't know why I would think that. I can't even sing. But that I would be that published author. And then I was just a late bloomer, and it was just taking me longer than most people. And also, I think I thought about my mom. I'll probably bring her up like every episode, just so you know. She did not publish her first book until she was, well, let's see, if I was 18, carry the two, I don't know, she was probably, well, she was in her anyways, she was older. Let's say 50. Let's say in her 50s, okay? She did many things later in life. She completely switched what she would talk about for public speaking when she was about my age, in her 60s. So that's the other thing too, is that unlike a plant, we can become a different kind of blossom, right? We're not stuck in a flower hole. That doesn't sound right. We are not one kind of bloom. We are whatever kind of bloom we want. And whether we think of ourselves as late or early or right on time, again, we just get to be what we want to be, okay? So a little bit of a rant there, but it's been on my heart, and there you have it. Thanks so much for being with me here today. If you did like this, hit that like button and also consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks. Bye for now.